So as we have enabled the services, we are able to log in here on the web page. And this is the web admin page. So we are able to log in and okay. So as I was mentioning, it's not like the other components of collaboration. It's a very simple tool, very few options you can see in status, configuration, and logs. Just three. Within status, which is like a mini version of the status bar of Expressway, which is used for monitoring, but there we have multiple options. But here you can see just some simple monitoring logs for diagnostics. You can see here in the first one, you can see system status, fault conditions, some logs like errors, warnings, diagnostic logs. Currently, this is just like a template we have as we do not have any logs. System uptime version is 2.2. Okay. Devices, we do not have any calls as of now. Fault conditions, if any, will appear here. Recent errors and warnings and diagnostic logs. So very brief here. We can see calls. Again, for monitoring, we can see any calls. We can use filters for that. We can see users, which by default on CMS, we do not have any. We cannot even create users here. We can only import it from Active Directory or any external database through LDAP. That is it about status. Then we have in configuration, that's it. So like in Expressway, we saw we had a few options for making changes like applications, users, configuration. All these are used for all the configuration purposes. But here, just one simple central tab for configuration like general, Active Directory configuration, call settings, outbound calls, inbound calls, call detail record settings, creating spaces, yeah, Cisco meeting application user settings, all that. Yeah, here we can set up XMPP server settings, turn traversal using relay NAT if we want to configure any external like link edge is still there, but not in use now. WebBridge settings, IVR, external access. This is for WebBridge users, what URI we would provide them to access. So all these settings we can do here. Not too much. Active Directory we can add from here. For integration, we can give Active Directory server address, port number, enable secure connection, create username, passwords, import settings. All settings, all the administrative access here. Tip, all settings, bandwidth restriction we can set from here. Very simple, easy to use tool it is. For VPN, for relay, different bandwidth settings we can configure for different type of connections and calls. For outbound call settings, inbound call settings. Yeah, outbound call transforms. If you want any transforms to be created here, we can create it. Just very easy, just using these predefined fields we can put in here. Call detail record settings for monitoring what all details we want. We can have up to 4 URIs as 4 interfaces of CMS are there. So 4 different URIs we can mention, and based on these 4 different URIs, we will get the call detail records. We can create spaces. We can create spaces here with name, URI, secondary URI, if any, call ID, passcode that will be used to join any conferences or meetings. Yeah. So like name, URI portion to login, then call ID or passcode or passwords here. Cisco Meeting app user settings, we can configure allowed or not allowed, cause any restrictions for meeting application users. And lastly, logs. So we have two types of logs here, event logs or like real-time reporting logs. We can verify from here. Or diagnostic logs, detailed tracing, which are used for diagnostics purposes or to send it to TAC or support and things like that. So we have different types of tracings, SIP traffic, DNS, API. So based on what type of issue you have, you can use the tracing record from here. That is it we have in the CMS. Now, next thing we need to do is we have enabled the services through PuTTY. We are able to log into the web page. Next, for the web bridge, for the external users to be able to access the web app and connect, we need to do some configuration from this portal also. Again, a part of the prerequisites, initial configuration. So for that, we will go to General. All right. In this general, you have to scroll down to WebBridge settings. Here in WebBridge settings, we need to define the guest account client URI that we will provide to the guests, to the customers, or any guests who want to join our conferences. Yeah. So that URI here we have it defined in our DNS, so we will be using that. And obviously that has to be in our DNS. Without that, it won't work. So it is join. It should be in the format of URI name dot the domain name. So here we have the name as join, and then join dot domain name will be our URI. So we have to put it in the complete format along with the complete URL, https colon backslash join dot domain. My domain is I guess G1. Yours would be like G1, G2, G3, G4 like that. So accordingly use that. Collab 140. This part would be the same. Collab 140 dot local. The first one would be G1 and like that. Guest ID domain is just the same. Domain is this what we have provided. Just copy pasting that. Next, we want to enable external access here. So the same thing. It's nothing but this URI we have to put as a external access web bridge URI. https colon backslash join dot g1 dot collab 140 dot local. That is it. We will submit it. Once we have submitted it using this URI, the users, the external users should be able to access the web app. So let's verify that. Use a different browser. And using this, I will try. Not working. Let me check. Okay, the domain should be this. I did a mistake. The one dot collab local was for expressway. So we have a separate domain for CMS, which is cms.g1. So let me just add that. And should be cms.g1. If you have access to DNS server, you can verify that in DNS. You can go to DNS manager, then from there, like I showed you yesterday, you can go to forward lookup zones, and in forward lookup zones, you can go to A records. In there, you can see the list of all domains. So this particular domain you can find from there also if you have access to DNS. Okay, this should be correct now. Submit. To try with this domain. Yeah. let's check one thing. If you're using your local browser, make sure you have DNS configured here. So I'm just not changing the preferred DNS settings, but the alternate. My DNS 21.140.5. If you're using your local PC or if you're using the lab PC, then you wouldn't need to do this. But I'm using my local PC for this, so I'm just changing the alternate DNS IP here so that it can call. Sometimes take some time to enable the web bridge service, but come up. I can say it. And it's working now. Yes, that is good. So as an external user, I'm using this URI and I'm able to join the meeting through this. From my browser itself, I can see the meeting app, I can join or sign in. Yeah, that is what the result we wanted. And that is it. You can try the lab, the steps. I have sent you the lab guide for this in the mail I sent today, lab 1. So starting with how you can enable services through PuTTY and then access the web page and through WebBridge as a customer. Make sure if you're using your local PC, first thing you need is PuTTY. So if it's not installed, install PuTTY for enabling the services. Also, there is a FTP client would be required in case if you want to just verify the licenses. So if it has to be a secure FTP application, it can be FileZilla or WinSCP. These are some some clients, SFTP clients we use for license purpose. So I have this one. Let me just show it to you. My IP is 8. You'll have to log into your CMS here. And log in. Once you log in, yeah, this is the certificate we can accept. Password again. And it will show you the list of all certificates and keys generated. So this can be used for that verification purpose. So on the left-hand side, I'm seeing the files on my local, on my desktop here on my local PC. This is not what I am looking for. I want to see this remote PC. Yeah. So here, this is the CMS. So I have taken the SFTP of this and I want to verify here these things. So it must have this CallBridge certification that I've added, CallBridge key, web admin key, WebBridge key. So when you do this lab, if you can install WinSCP, it will be good. So before enabling services, log into WinSCP, you will see these files will not be there. And as a verification step, once you have enabled services, log into WinSCP again and see you should be able to see these files. This is one way you can verify that your certificates and keys are successfully installed, and then try logging into the CMS, and then within the CMS, you will have to add some uh, configurations here, which is WebBridge settings and external access. Once that is done, you can verify through any other browser accessing this URL, and you will be able to access the web app. Just make sure if you're using your local PC only, change the DNS IP of the AnyConnect port here. The DNS IP should be the DNS we have for the lab. So I prefer using alternate instead of changing the preferred DNS.